All right, let's do this. This isn't going to be anything special or super edited. It's just me telling you who I am, who I was, or why I'm here and why I decided to do all of this. So it all started when I was a kid, around 14 to 19 years old. I used to be a cyclist. I used to be very fit, cycling 12,000 miles per year or something like that. Skinny, 73 kilograms, and I'm about 5'10". But I was very, very healthy and athletic. After that, I decided to go to uni and study nursing. And then is where I started to try training for triathlon, but it didn't quite work because my knees suffered because they were not just quite developed. Like the muscles of my knee was not quite developed to do so. So I gave that up, and a couple of years later I've been asked by a friend of mine to go play rugby, and I did, and I loved it. And actually training for rugby did help with my knees as well and my running. But then the time came to find a job, and in Italy there was no jobs. So I moved to England and I found a job as a nurse here in England. And that is when the decline kind of started. And I'm not blaming England, I'm not blaming anything in particular, but I think having a job where you work unregulated shifts and living alone in a shared house, I was eating unhealthy and I started to put on more weight. However, we're still playing rugby, but then I injured both my knees, which took me out of the game completely. And that just was a spiral, downhill spiral that basically caused me to become unfit, unhealthy, and put on weight, and slowly fall into a bit of a depressive state. And it didn't help as well that I went into a relationship that kind of, after a couple of years, did really affected me mentally as well. Nothing massive, nothing straight away, but it was a steady decline until I got to a point that I wouldn't go out. I would just spend the day inside with the windows shut and the curtains shut in the dark, playing TV or playing video games. And I realized that that wasn't me. So I called the doctor and I said, look, this is how I feel. What do I do? So then the doctor ran some blood tests and it came back and said, look, you've got some vitamin D deficit, but also you've got a fatty liver, which was caused by my unhealthy lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle and eating unhealthy. So then I decided I got to do something about it. But even though in my head I knew I had to do that, I did struggle because my mind was heavy. I was just not motivated still, and even though I knew I had to do it. And I stayed in that spiral for probably a couple of years. Until then I made a choice to end the relationship, and I moved back into the city. And when I moved into the city, then I decided to focus more on myself. I started walking the dog more. I forced myself to go out and meet people. I used to hang out on the weekends. And because I was now single with some spare money on the side, I then hired a personal trainer as well for a few months. And that really helped. I've lost about 18 kilograms. I was feeling healthy again and I was feeling happier. And that feeling happier led me to meet in February 2024 my now wife, which is the best and most awesome human being I've ever met. She's positive and very supportive with me. And in fact, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't probably be doing this YouTube channel. But meeting her didn't mean that I had more time to do what I wanted to do. In fact, now we've got a newborn. I've got 3 stepkids, still got a dog to walk every day. and a full-time job, and to be honest, barely any time to do anything else. But somehow I feel more focused and more motivated and more ready than I ever felt before. So that the relationship really was a massive change in my mindset. But also, you know, she's a business owner, and she made me interested into listening to podcasts and not wasting my time on social medias or anything like that. So I started listening to podcasts, and then in November 2024, I was watching this podcast, the Diary of a CEO, and it was the interview to Jim Carr. And a quote came up there where he said, "A man has got two lives, and the second one starts the moment he realizes he's got only one." And that was the moment that made me realize that I was wasting my life somehow. I didn't have a purpose. I was just working for working. And that is the moment that I decided to sign up for personal training. And I did. And since November 2024, I've been studying for personal training. But I haven't quite went back to train regularly. And that's what I want to do. I want to become a personal trainer, but I also want to be healthy and to be a role model for the people I will train in the future. So what I'm doing now, what I will do now, is training regularly, 3 to 4 times a week. I will put together strength and endurance training, so running and weightlifting. I know a lot of people don't like that kind of training, but I don't want to specialize in something. I don't want to specialize in bodybuilding. I don't want to specialize in running. I just want to be healthy and fit. And I want to be able to play with my boy when he grows up and is able to run around. And I want to be able to do it without running out of breath. So that's one of the things I will do. The other thing is that I will try to follow a strictish diet, even though in the evening I don't want to eat different food from my family, as I think having dinner with the family is a really, really important time. So I will just limit my portions because I don't want them to be on a diet. I just want them to eat what they fancy eating. And we do eat fairly healthy anyway, so I'll just limit the portions. I will calculate my calories and I will track my calories. I will study. And lately I've also been introducing some meditation in my routine, which actually proved to be very, very helpful for having a better day every day, basically. So yeah, this is me. Now you've got a bit of a background on who I am, who I was, and who I want to be. So yes, I'll hope to see you in the next video, and I just hope with this channel to be able to inspire people and to help people. And I'm doing it as well because I know that I will feel more committed and more accountable for myself. And if I'll fail in front of everybody. So here I am, just me. So I hope to see you in my next video, and I'll see you soon.